Hey friends, this is Joseph Maynor. So what I want to do in this video is I want to talk about what we might call the root as opposed to the crown. So I'm drawing a little bit on the 7 chakras model, but it's deeper than that. I mean, the 7 chakras model is it's a projection of personal development, like on a screen. Like a table of contents, you might think of it as. And it's a very sophisticated table of contents. I mean, just like any other table of contents, it's not perfect, right? But as a table of contents, it's pretty good. And so with the 7 chakras model, we have these nodes and these links. The nodes are given certain names, and they're actually in some kind of Indian language, but they've been distilled down into kind of like a framework that can be given English words. And so from the bottom to the top, or from the top to the bottom, however you want to look at it, or the middle, or the off-center zones. Okay, we'll talk about this. Like, they're all in a way necessary. And this is like such a great way, this is such a great personal development model, because one of the biggest problems in personal development is becoming imbalanced, right? Like you're top heavy, or you're bottom heavy, or you're middle heavy, whatever it is, like you're not like calibrated properly, right? Like you're some kind of you're just not calibrated properly. I mean, and that's good, right? Knowing that is good. Not knowing that may not be so good, but at least knowing that, right, you can make some intentions to try to remedy maybe some holes that you have in your work. And so 2 big holes that I have in my work are the root chakra and the root chakra and the solar plexus chakra. The other chakras, I think I'm relatively strong in. So let me explain those. So the sacral chakra, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, and the spirituality, or the crown chakra. Now, why do I know this, right? Because I've actually cataloged my videos with this framework in mind. You can see, like, I've built playlists around these, and I can see where I'm strong and where I'm weak. I mean, I can talk for days about the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, the crown chakra. I mean, these are my strengths. Like, believe it or not, the masculine is actually my strength. Even though I defend the feminine. Why do you think I defend the feminine? Because I need to integrate the feminine, right? We'll talk about that, what the feminine is. The feminine isn't what you think it is. See? Actually, what you are is you're feminine with a misunderstood concept of the feminine. So hold that thought, right? I'll defend it in this video. The feminine is the human. And also, the feminine can also be the heart. It can also be the crown too. But the feminine are the first 3 chakras, which is interesting. Like the human masculine, like people like Andrew Tate, are more feminine than they actually realize. Because the masculine is about like the throat, the third eye, the crown, right? There's a lot of humans that never develop the masculine in this sense. They never develop the heart chakra, which is like the meeting ground between the masculine or the upper chakras and the feminine or the lower chakras. Now you can reverse lower, lower and higher, upper, lower. It depends on, as you're like moving through your path, it depends on like what you're making a beeline to do. See, that's where you got to listen to your own intuition. This is where you need the third eye, because you got to be like, is this what I'm working on, or is this what I want to be working on? Because there's a huge difference there. Like, you can want to work on something and like bang your head against the wall and make all these videos about telling people such and such, but you're actually not really doing that. You're doing something else. Like, you're trying to build your business, or you're trying to work on your spirituality, or, it's not always clear. Like, people don't make it clear. Like, I'm motivated to work on this right now because X, Y, or Z. It's not like people tell you that, right? So, for example, right now, and for the last 5 years, I've been motivated to work on my spirituality. That's what I'm all about. That's what I'm doing. That's what I argue about. That's what I make videos on. How many people tell you that? Or right now, I'm not so focused on spirituality. I'm focused on finances, right? I want to position myself as some kind of a service or product in the marketplace in order to get people to pay me, because I'm really, even though I'm talking about the crown, I'm really focused on the root. I'm focused on finances, which is the first root. So, sometimes people will, like, the subject matter of what they're talking about doesn't actually align with the zone that they're working on. And I haven't really had this problem, except for I have the reverse problem. So a lot of people, they're really working on finances, and they're talking a lot about spirituality. See, I was the opposite. I was talking a lot about finances, but what I was really working on was spirituality. So the root for me, that's where I'm weak. I'm weak in the root and the root chakra. And we'll dissect that. We'll kind of explain what that is. And actually, I want this video to be personal development square one, the video on health, because that's exactly what you're going to see. It's all going to come together. So the other chakra that I'm weak in is the solar plexus chakra. And it's interesting that these two chakras are actually feminine. They're human. The human is the feminine. See, the grounded, the material, the here and now. And the heart is kind of midway between the feminine and the masculine. And this is where you get into, I wouldn't say like I'm insanely strong in the heart chakra, but I'm at least like, I'm higher than a lot of people are in that one. I mean, honestly. Am I as high as certain people in that? No, right? Clearly not. The heart chakra is about love and relationship and marriage. It's about holding it all together and being forgiving, right? So the heart is its own thing, right? So when you work on the heart, that's what you're working on. When you're working on the throat, right, you're working on, your career life purpose. You're working on manifesting what you think to be true. That's all throat chakra. Third eye is your inner wisdom, like once you learn how to tap into that. And then the spiritual is the self-acceptance and in a way, a kind of surrender, but also a knowing too, like a deep knowing. And your spirituality is unimpeded. See, it's inherently unimpeded. And so until you reach that, right, you don't reach the highest levels of spirituality. I've tried to make videos on this, but, I'm no longer interested in arguing about this. Like, I've made my point clear, right? Spirituality is something that it's the highest level masculine. So it's something that you have to do on your own, and you have to go through the hero's journey, and you got to defeat every threshold guardian there. Even the threshold guardians that are telling you, you got to listen to me, right? Because I have their one right knowledge or whatever, epistemology. Right? That person is building their career. That's the throat chakra. See? So you have to be able to determine these different masculine. So the throat chakra is about, messaging. It's the throat, right? The lowest level masculine is the throat. And this also has to do with philosophy, knowledge, language, or what I call lingo. And then the third eye chakra is about your own direct link to knowledge. As weird as that sounds. You can see my playlist on that. That's the third eye. That has to do with intuition, insight, and life purpose, which includes career life purpose too. Then you have the heart chakra, right? So the heart chakra is right in between like the masculine chakras and the feminine chakras. The heart chakra is about it's about relationship or relation and love and marriage. And then you have the feminine chakras. So the highest level feminine chakra is what's called the solar plexus chakra. And that's about it's about action, it's about accountability, and it's about energy. Now, energy isn't really understood sort of like thoroughly. Like, it's a little bit of a technical term. I had to do some work on ChatGPT to really understand what energy is. But energy also includes things like confidence, right? Because this is the highest level feminine, which is the human, right before the heart. So you can think of all these like life coaches and self-help teachers that are trying to teach you how to like believe in yourself, how to have confidence as a human, right? As a human, as, living your day to day, as a human, doing your job, interacting with all the things that you have to do, to survive. You need self-esteem, you need confidence, you need like practical judgment, right? Not so much theory, right? This is about prudence. This is about like practical judgment. So a lot of people have a lot of a lot of people have a lot of solar plexus, and they mistake that for spiritual or crown attainment. No, they're very different, because it's like the person who's really in the human who wants to be the divine. It's like pining for the divine, but they're hiding the fact that they're really operating from the human. See? So people often tell you what they want, not what they've achieved. Keep that in mind. I've done that in my videos too, like especially my videos on, we'll see this and why I'm kind of making private a lot of my kind of earlier videos, because it's like somebody who's coming from the spiritual who's trying to do the root, and they have all this theory, or somebody who's coming from the throat and they're trying to do the root or the solar plexus, and they're reading all these books and they're coming up with all this theory, but it's all talk, right? There's no walk behind it. It's like, well, that's great that there's all this theory here, but not two. Now you have all this theory, you have no action. I mean, if we look at the solar plexus, the three categories are action, accountability, energy. So for example, like the "Just Do It" slogan from Nike. That's the only theory you need for action. Now, in reality, you need a lot more than that, but I'm just saying that, like, it's amazing to me how much crap there is out there in terms of theory about action, or even spirituality for that matter. It's like there's this wall of theory between you and just do it. How did that happen? How did that ever happen? How did your that just fucked you up, honestly. Same thing with spirituality. There's all this talk between like you and spirituality, and there's this like, well, you got to have the one right epistemology or whatever it is, and that gets you all screwed up too, because now you're paying attention to these teachers, right? You're lining their pockets. Actually, that's the corruption, right? See, they're not going to admit that, but that's true. So, as I'm going back and I'm looking at the videos that I made on the solar plexus and the root, some of those videos I'm actually deleting because I'm just like, you know what, man, this is not necessary. Like, I have a much more like mature understanding right now as to like what kind of lingo or knowledge is actually good, as I'm kind of moving into this as the next chapter for me. And one final chakra that I want to talk about before I take my first break, and then we're going to further narrow the focus of this video to talk about what I'm going to be doing in the next chapter of my work, which is going to be health and the root, right? The root and the solar plexus chakras. But I got to talk about the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra lies in between the root and the solar plexus. The sacral chakra is about happiness, fun, and downtime. Like, the sacral chakra is about like enjoying life. Enjoying life, being in the world, enjoying life. It's feminine, right? Feminine, human. Being in the world, enjoying life, traveling, right? Eating different food, playing, practicing, the things that bring you joy, that bring you fulfillment, right, in your life. That one I'm pretty strong in. I made some videos on creativity, and which really go to that. But then also, creativity is a little bit like, kind of a little bit masculine, right? It's a little like, okay, did you do your creativity today? Like, it's almost like you did something, right? But the lower level of that is just, you know what I'm saying? Like having fun, drawing, or listening to music even, or just lounging around the house. That's downtime, right? Right. The sacral chakra is about letting go as a human and allowing the human to be what it is for you in your life, right? And just kind of enjoying yourself, enjoying walking outside when it's a beautiful day and smelling the flowers, right? That's the sacral. So I'm strong in that one. So because this video is about personal development square one with the focus on health, and my next video is going to be a focus on daily routine, I can break these apart now. And the next video will be on the solar plexus issues, which is about action, accountability, and energy. I'm always confused about energy because it's a kind of a technical term. Energy and self-esteem might be a better way to kind of present that, or energy and confidence might be a better way to sort of label that, right? I'm not sure about that yet. But those are kind of factored into that one. So that's all solar plexus issues. So what I want to do in the last 10 minutes of this video is I want to give an introduction to the root chakra with a focus on health. So just give me 1 second. Hey friends, welcome back. So let me recap the model for you real fast. So if we start at the bottom, I hate the word bottom, okay, but we start at the bottom. We have the root chakra, which is the human grounding chakra. And the two areas for this are finances and health. And the root chakra is about survival, because it's about the human. Whereas the crown chakra is about the divine. See, the divine's really not concerned with survival. The divine needs survival. That's why you need that's why Kundalini is when you have all of these chakras open, right? That's the person who's really woke, right? It's the person who has, all of these centers open. If you have any like big gaps in this, you're not going to have it. It's not going to be quite right. See? There's going to be something screwed up. You're top heavy, right? You're too in the head. You think everything is mind. Or you're too bottom heavy, right? You don't even want to think, right? You just think everything is like a human experience. Or you're at the heart level where you're one of these people who thinks that love is the answer to everything, right? You're like the non-dual, kind of teacher, who just insists on relationship no matter what, right? But the bottom line is like you kind of need all of these, and if any of these get too dictatorial, it gets fucked up, right? That's just that's my bar speak there, Even though I'm not supposed to be drinking anymore, not supposed to be. But again, this gets into health. So, let's talk about health. There's two sides to health, in my judgment. There's physical health, and there's mental health. Okay. Now, what is the issue issue with mental health? Well, how can you be grounded if you can't even perceive reality properly, right? So there's something wrong with the way that you're like interfacing with reality, either like from a human perspective, from a divine perspective, that's fucking up your ability to actually like feel stable and grounded from a health standpoint and from a financial standpoint. If that's an issue for you, you have a problem with the root chakra, specifically health, and even more specifically, mental health. I think there's a lot of people that have a problem with this one and they don't even realize it, But we all love a crazy person who we say, well, they're eccentric instead of being somebody that we put in a mental hospital, right? I mean, there are plenty of people in the entertainment industry that are actually full-blown crazy, or even in the spiritual community that are just full-blown crazy. But the fact that they're able to have their head screwed on tight enough to make money to survive, nobody has a problem with those people. It's the people who can't get it together to even be able to survive on their own or with the aid of another that become, quote unquote, the problem, right? The schizophrenics that are relegated to being homeless on the street, right? People who, they're kind of unfortunately neglected by the whole. Those people should be taken care of, actually. But then they should also do as much as they can to take care of themselves. See, that's the balance. You don't want to make somebody a child. You want to let them develop their own root chakra so that they have mental health. They have health, physical health, and mental health. And ultimately, they can work on finances too. So you want to inspire people. A lot of this goes into the solar plexus chakra too. You want to inspire people to have self-esteem and confidence as a human to be able to care for themselves. It's so funny, like there's so much self-help work that's like, there's so many self-help books that are catering to these issues, but it's just like spirituality. Like nobody can give this to you. This is something that you have to like rise up within yourself and kind of like, you have to be at the right place at the right time, the right chapter in your life, and it will happen. It's not something that can be given to you by another. Ditto for spirituality. It's not something that can be given to you by another. So mental health is it's about being able to survive as a human well. So you might have to work on your mental health. You might have to take those medications that you don't want to take. You might have to do that therapy that you don't want to do. You might have to grow in some kind of way where you're not like having these like meltdowns or kind of weird things that other people can point to you and kind of like make you the problem. See, those are mental health issues. You did some embarrassing thing or something like that, right? We all do this, but I'm just saying that like you might have some mental health issues. And if you do, just like you might have physical health issues. Okay, so let's get off the mental health thing and go to the physical health thing. This is like my weakest area. I got to tell you, man, physical health, God damn, it's my weakest area. No, I don't mean to say that to offend anybody, but it's just like, it's the one thing that I want to do. I always want to do, but I just never do, is work on my physical health. There were periods in my life where I did do this. Like there's a period in my life where I was big into like mountain biking. And I would go out every day and I would just ride around and mountain bike. This is like when I was probably in my like late 20s. So I'm in my mid to edging on late 40s now. But let's say in my late 20s, I would just get on my Trek mountain bike and ride around the Presidio. And eventually I was getting to the point where I was going across the Golden Gate Bridge and I was riding up the Marin headlands. And it was just like what I did as a kind of hobby every day. I was really into it, you know? And it seems like the last few years, I would say probably the last 10 years or so, I've been primarily focused on spirituality. So that's been kind of my last chapter and to a lesser extent on philosophy. And then in between those, like philosophy and spirituality, it's been intuition, like developing my inner guidance. You know, this is what I've been working on. Even though I wanted to work on other things, this is like what actually was worked on, you know, for me. So I'm kind of exiting that chapter. And now finally, after 2 years of being in a limbo state, basically, I'm finally at the start state now where I'm working on finances and health. And also, not yet so much solar plexus, but that's going to be added on a little bit later because you got to start at the bottom. So some of this too is sometimes you're like talking a lot about something, but that's not what you're working on. Or sometimes you're working on something, but that's not what you're talking about. In my case, I had both of those happen. Like my early videos were me talking a lot about health and not doing it. And then I switched to spirituality, and those videos, I was doing it. I was like, I wasn't just talking about it. Those were like dead on, right? So everything I did when I shifted into to like the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, the spiritual chakra, That's the chapter that I was running. But there's a lot of good theory in my early videos, but honestly, that theory was there to try to like motivate me or help me to do the health stuff. But honestly, I never jumped into that, right? So I've been making some of those videos private for that reason. Like, unless I see that the theory is useful, because what I want to do is I want my videos moving forward to be like me doing the root chakra and the solar plexus chakra. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm not just like saying I want to do it or I'm talking about it. It's like, just like with my spirituality stuff, it's like it's going to be what I'm going through and kind of tracking what I'm going through, not tracking, oh, I think this is useful theory to help all of us, do what we're not yet doing. Okay, friends? Hopefully this was a good video. I know it was a little dense, just because I packed so much in there. But hopefully it has a little bit of a simple structure to it too. It's supposed to be about the root chakra and health and finances and getting those squared away from a human perspective. Okay, friends? I'll talk to you soon. Take care.